Okay. Let me pull up Studio Code. Okay, yeah, this is where I use the span you were talking about.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So you know what I think I've not uploaded the yesterday's video, but I'm going to maybe upload both after this class. So what I was talking about this span tag or span element is we were discussing about inline level elements. Right. Yeah, we spoke about inline level elements and we also spoke about inline block level elements. So basically, I was saying like for inline level elements, they always don't take up all the spaces. Like they just take up the only the specific parts that they need or their contents need from the page. Unlike block level elements that takes over all the like the length. When you start a new let's for example a paragraph, you realize that when you start another paragraph, it takes up the whole row. This one also take up the whole row. When you start a new element, they jump to the next line instead of starting on that specific current line. But if you look at inline level elements, let me use another. Let me just give it another. Instead of span, let me use something else. Um, let me use maybe a bold, a big tag, and then let's see. Yeah, so if I go back to this and I refresh it, you can see it says this text is bold. Now, this text is bold is starting after this text over here. Why is that? Because this is an inline level element. So it just starts next to the in the last inline level elements instead of taking up the whole space. But let's say I change this to like a paragraph, because a paragraph is a block level element. It's going to go to the new line and take over the whole space for that new line. You can see now it has taken over all this line. So anything, if I have another element after this paragraph, it's also going to go to a new line because this paragraph has taken over all the lines, all the that specific row. So that is the main difference between the inline level element and the block level element. Inline level element doesn't start a new line, but block level element, it starts on a new line. Block level element takes up the whole row. Inline level element does not. See? So, but what we now yesterday we now said we have something called inline block level element. So the inline block level element is just like a mixture of the inline level elements and the block level elements, in the sense that you can specify the inline element to be like a block level element and then apply the box model to the inline level element. So what do I mean by the box model? You know, yesterday we also talked about the box model where we say, let me inspect this so that yeah, where we discuss about this saying yeah. So we say the box model, we have the length and the width, we have the padding, we have the border, we have the margin. So we say for inline level elements, you can't really apply those properties. I mean, at least you can apply like border, you can apply padding left and padding right, margin left and margin right, but you can't apply like margin top, margin bottom to it. So if you want to apply it to it, it has to be a block level element. So we need a way to turn this inline level element, which is the span, tag. We use the span tag in this case. It can be anything. It can be any inline tag. It can be this strong. It can be B, which is the bold. It can be EM, which is emphasized. All those are inline level elements because when you have the inline level, if I have EM here now, so let me just say this text is emphasized. So if I have this EM over here now, and then I switch up my browser and refresh it, you see that it also starts next after this strong text because it's an inline level element. So it's not starting on a new line. So, and also this strong tag that we use here doesn't take over the whole role. So unlike what we have here in paragraph. So those are major difference. Now we now say for this span, we say the display type should be, it can be inline, it can be block or inline block. But we say, okay, let's make this I think we tried inline block, then we tried block. So, but in this case, let me just say we have the element to be block. So instead of it being an inline, we change that. Okay, now we want it to be block element. Now, when you now go back and look at this span, which it says inline level element, you now see that it takes over the row for this. Let me inspect it. Let you see. Yeah. So the inline level element, you now see that it has taken over the row, the entire row for that particular element. And the next element that comes after it has to go to a new line because we already changed it to a block level element. So now, when you change it to a block level element or inline block level element, then you can apply the box model properties, which is like, for example, the margin top, the margin bottom. You can have the padding top, you can have the padding bottom, and stuff like that. So, and that is what we did here, whereby we add these ones, and then we said you can even have it in a short form. Like, for example, you can have just margin, this margin, and then you have this as the top and bottom, and then you have this as the left and right. So like it's just going to be the margin top and margin bottom. In this case, will be 5 pixel. The margin left and margin right becomes 10 pixel. But if you want just the four sides to be the same value, you can just say margin 5 pixel, then the margin top is going to be 5 pixel, margin bottom is going to be 5 pixel, left, right, 5 pixel. So it's just going to be like that. The same thing with padding also. The padding, we said the padding is, for this one, we said the padding is 5 pixels. So what that means is that everything, padding left, right, top, bottom, they are 5 pixel. Or you specify them, padding left, padding right, or you can write it in this form, which is also a shorthand form. Padding top left 5 pixel, top bottom 5 pixel, and left right 5 pixel. So you can choose any form you want. They are the same thing. You can just select and use any property you want in them. And also we also use the height and width properties for the inline element because we've already changed it to a block level element. So does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we can then talk about the position properties. So for position properties, we mainly just use it to position elements across the page. So we have three types, and the first one is the relative position. The relative position is what we've been doing, so there's literally nothing new in that regard. So what it just means is the normal flow which the HTML appears, like this appears first, then this is next, then this is next. That is like the normal relative positioning, just according to how it is in the HTML structure. Nothing changed. But let's say I want to position this inline level element that is at the bottom. If I want to position it, let's say I want to position it at the top here. Now something has to change because it's not relative to that document anymore. We want to change the position. So in that case, we have two other ways we can do it. Either you want to use the absolute property or you want to use the fixed property. And we're going to try both of them and just see the difference or how they work. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is that this span element, I think I gave it width and height of 200. So I'm just going to give it a background color so that we can, see the effect, how it looks. So let me use something like this. So let me just see it in the browser so that we can see the way it looks. Yeah, so this is it, inline level element. So what we're trying to do is that we're trying to like change the position where this is located. So we can just say, so let's try the one for absolute. So for absolute, we can say position absolute. So when we do this, then we can give it like the top, how far from the top do we want it? And we can also give it like maybe how far from the maybe left or right do we want it? So I'm just going to say the top should be like 0, and then the right should be 0. Let me give it a white. So the right should be 0. So when we save this and then run this back, okay, yeah, something. Okay, fine. Now you can see this is position at top 0 and then the right 0. So that's why we have it in this position. It can even overlap over some other elements. It doesn't like it's been taken out of the flow of when rendering the page. So it doesn't care if there's any elements maybe around it. Let me see if I can. Let's say the top is 100, then let's say the right is, let's say, 40 or something. So let's just try and see what we have. Okay, yeah, you can see let's reduce it up to, I want to do something like that. Let's go this thing. Position absolute, stop is 5, while is training. Let's see what's going on. All right, top is 0, 0, 0. Okay, let's see. Top is 3 pixel and then bottom is 3 pixel. Okay, so let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see I missed the pixel previously. So let's say top is 50 pixel and then right is 30 pixel. So if we refresh this, yeah, we can see some, or let me use left instead of right. So that way we have it on the left-hand side. Yeah, as you can see, it's overlap this particular element. It doesn't care if there's any element there. It just, push himself into that position. So that is the absolute positioning. But one thing is that let's say this particular paragraph is inside this div, and then um we don't want the positioning to be outside of the div. Like we don't want it to be outside of the div. So one thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to try to use this one as an example. So let's say we want this element inside this particular box. Let me move it to, what's the name? Okay, no name. Let's see. Okay, that's the box. Okay, yeah. So let me move this, or let me create a new, let me just create something new so that we don't make too many changes here. Yeah, let me just create something. This one. So inside this box one, I'm going to create a new div and I'm going to call it, let's just say, so this box one, I'm going to give it a class. Let me sorry. Box one, I'm going to give it, let me just do it this way. Let me give it the same property as this. So we have box, yeah. So we have the same thing as this. Then for this one, I'm going to give it a new class as box. Let's say box three. So this one now I'm going to have box three. Oh, okay. I'm going to have box one, and I'm also going to have box three. But one thing I'm going to do is just going to copy out this one and then give it to this guy and this guy. We have almost simple. Okay, so let's just save this. But in this case, I'm just going to give it 150 by 30. So if I refresh this, I think, yeah, so I have it here, but let me change the color. Yeah. So if I refresh this, I have it here. Now, you remember that this is inside this box one. Let's give this box one. What? No, it's for instance. Yeah. So this is the box one. But we have this inside box one. This is positioned in box one. I mean, if I remove this, it's going to be evident that this is inside box one. You can see this is in box one. That's where it's positioned. But if I change the positioning, I'm now saying, okay, um, you can position it outside of the box, which is this. But let's say I give this 50 by 50. This is how it's gonna look, like this. But let's say I want to position it inside of this box, not outside of it, inside of this box. So what I can do is that I can now go to the parent of that box three element. So I can go to the parent, which is the box one. I can now say the position to this should be relative to the box one. So the position of this box three should be relative to this box one. So what that is going to do is that it's now going to, if I refresh this, now you see, it's going to position this inside of the box one within, it's not going to be outside of it. So let's say I change this to 0, 0. Let me just give it 0, 0. And then if I refresh it, you see now that it's positioned within it, the box one. But previously, when we use 0, 0, it's positioned it relative to the body or the HTML content of this page. But when we use the position relative of this box one, we're saying that position this box three in relative to this box one. So when you use 0, 0 now, it's going to be within the box one. So that is for positioning, for absolute positioning. We also have another one which is called fixed. So we're going to try that now. So for fixed, we can use another div tag. So I can say class of box 4. I can just give it a class of box 4, and then let me give it let me give it the same thing here. So they have the same property. If I refresh this, yeah, so this is box 4. Now I want to position box 4, but now this time I want it to be position fixed. I want it to be fixed, and I want the top to be 0, and I want the right to be 0. So now if we refresh this, we don't have it here anymore. We are going to have it here. And the difference between this and this is absolute and this fixed, is that even when we are scrolling, it's still fixed on that position. You can't, like, you're still going to have it. Even if you scroll up, you scroll down, you have it. So this is one of the properties they normally use to do all those sticky menu, that when you scroll down, you continue to see the menu bar. So this is one of the property. This is the property they mostly use for it. Fixed positioning. So when you scroll up, you scroll down, it's always going to be there. But for absolute positioning, once you scroll in, no, it's not going to be fixed. It's just going to, go with along with the page. But for fixed positioning, it's just going to stay there. Yeah. So that's mostly the positioning property that we mostly use. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. One thing I wanted to mention, I think yesterday, but I've forgot, is that I wanted to just talk about how to, when you're working with HTML, CSS, or any other, maybe working with programming languages like maybe Java or any other programming languages, you're going to be you're going to face like some challenges whereby you're working something but you don't really remember or how to fix that stuff. So mostly what we do is just that we mostly Google stuff. That's just what we do. So um, let's say for example, I'm working on this page and I can't remember, or maybe how to, let's say, how to create, let's say, how to position an element. So I can just simply Google. Mostly um we just do Google. I mean, I can search it directly also, but let me see. So let me use so I can say in CSS, then I'm going to get a lot of, like, articles about it. But mostly what we mostly do is that you can just at the beginning or at the end, you can have like Stack Overflow, and then on search. So it's going to bring maybe some results from Stack Overflow. So Stack Overflow is mostly where you can, post questions and then people answer those questions. So when someone might have already, posted that same question that you're trying to solve, that same problem, they might have posted questions about it. So you can just search, and then when you get the results and click on it, it's going to, like, show you if there's a solution to it, which most of the time there is. So you're going to get like a solution on how to like work on it or what you can do. Like for example, this person saying, okay, like if you have an image or you this is a div, then you can position the div, you can have this and then position it relative to the image. And if you run this code snippets, not every time you mostly have it. Then you see the result just based on what the person is trying to achieve. And also at the left bar, you can see some related questions if maybe it's similar to what you're looking for. Let's say this one, if this one doesn't answer your problem or your doesn't answer the question you have in mind, then you can like look at this or go back and click on another link just to see. So mostly that is what we do. And also, yeah, and also you're going to get, some practical. And also another link we most developer uses, they always use the reference. So you can always look at the reference. It's going to give you so much. For example, for CSS, this is mostly the CSS reference that is very popular. So let's say you are working with a property and you can't, remember. Like I say, these days there is most editors give you suggestion on some of those property, but you can look at, oh, how does this work? Then you can click on it. Let's say for example, I don't know how this border radius work. I can click on it and then go to this particular try it and click on each one of them and see the result. How does it work and stuff like that. You can even change it for yourself. You can change it. Say, let's say, okay, I say, I just want to see 5%. How does it look like on 5%? You see that it's like just a little bit curved. If I say it's zero or there's nothing there, it's just a normal corner without any rounded properties added to the corner. So this reference has a lot of properties, and they had, I guess, a small new CSS property comes out, they also add it to the list. And I can tell you most of these properties I've not even used some of them. So since I've been working with this stuff. So that's just the way it is. You have each one of them and then you can click on them and just see what they do. They're going to explain it and um, provide some examples. So let's say this. So you can read through it, what it means, what pseudo class is, and then here they said they give an example, and also they give more examples of pseudo classes. Like you see, there are some that we didn't even talked about. Like for example, the autofill, the enable. So all these things, you see different values, and you can try them and just see how they work and stuff like that. Let me see this in range property. Yeah, it says represent which current values within the range limits specified. So as you can see, this one said input is in, this is the paragraph, it's a background color, and then let's say you can buy between 2 to 5. The pseudo class, this is for giving, okay, what again? Okay, let's see. Oh, you can buy 2 to 6. Okay, I think they added it here. Yeah. So how many tickets, amount, type number? This one say the minimum is 2, the maximum. Yeah, so in this case, they're using the normal HTML properties to, so stuff like this, you can always check out all these references and click through it, get to understand more about it. Another one that is useful is this one is like a an HTML validator. So let's say, for example, while I'm working on this and then I made a mistake, let me see, let's say on this, bold text. I did not like close the tag. So let's say I didn't close the tag. Let me see where it is. Bold text, this one. So let's say I forgot to close the tag, which is very common problem when you're working with all this HTML. Although there are editors that automatically, give you the just write the closing tag for you, but sometimes you still, forget to add this closing tag. So what we can do is that if I save this and I refresh the page, now you see that all the text are bold after that specific tag. Now you start wondering like, why is all this text, like this? Why are they bold? So mostly you just either you start from where the problem um display, where there is a problem, and then just look through the HTML and try to figure it out. Or another thing is that you can let's say you can copy this your HTML and then go to this null check validator, and then when you paste it, you just click on check. So when you click on check, it's going to give you like different idea on what is happening to your HTML tags. So you can, this last one say this column is not closed. It also say the body, but there is unclosed element. Yeah, the end tag for body is seen, but there's an unclosed element. Also, all these ones you see some other problem. Div not allow as a child element of strong. Yeah, because that is because we did not close the strong. So this is where the majorly the problem lies. So we can then go back to our HTML and then we can close it. Let's see, where's it? Okay, yeah. So we can then close it, and then when we try it again and see if maybe our problem is fixed. Okay, so now we don't have any. Okay, yeah, we have just only one, which is the article. It's saying like mostly the article tag. When you have an article tag, you follow it up with like H2 to H6, just because that is it, the expect heading to that article. That is the meaning of article. So, but in this case, we don't have it, so that's why it's just saying this is just a warning, but it's not like an error or something. So basically, that is also how you can, validate your HTML tags when you are working with HTML, just trying to see where the problem arises when you are working with it. Yeah, so let's continue from. I just wanted to, add those references. I'll post the link in the charts also. Okay, so we can So we've been talking about different HTML properties, and this time we're now going to talk about how to lay out a page. So if we go to, let's say, let me still use CNN.com like the last time. So if we go to CNN.com, yep. So we have we have the layout. So we're talking about layout. So layout is basically just the way the content is placed on a web page. So how we place this content, that is literally what the layout means. So if you look at the CNN website, like we have here that acts like the navigation, where the navigation bar is. We have some text here, and then here we have like some H tags, some images. But basically, what we really want to talk about is like how the content are being placed in terms of the rows and the column. So if you look at all these ones, you can say this is a column, this is another column, and this is another column. So we can say we have three columns on this page. And also similarly, you can say we have this column here, column here, column here. And also we can say this is a row, this is a row, this is a row within that column. this is another row, this is same thing here. We can say this is a row, this is a row, this is a row within that particular column. So you can simply tell that what I'm describing so far sounds like table, which we already talked about in HTML, right? So basically, it's mostly two dimensions. So you have the row and the column. That is how a website layout is always appearing on a web page. So, but in for us to in CSS, for us to like place the content on a web page, we mostly use the two main common approach is either we use the flex box or we use the grid system. So that is the most popular way of having a layout on a website these days. So we're going to look at Flexbox today, I believe. Then maybe next week's out they will continue with grid. So for Flexbox, let me let me create let me create which are here because can get a little messy. So just gonna have a div, and then inside this div we're going to have like content. So Flexbox is like a one-dimensional layout. So you can either arrange your items in rows or in column. So it's one-dimensional. Either you have it in rows or you have it in column. So and in the way we can do that is that let me give this, let me just say this is one. Let me give it some content. This is two. This is three. So let me see. The class is called flex. Let me just give it a flex container as the name. So now let's look at this on the browser. So we have Flexbox 1, 2, 3. So that's just what we have here so far. Now let me have the class flex container. So now we have what we call flex container, and we also have what we call the flex items. So the flex container is just like the parent of the flex items. So the flex items in this case are these, like the div1, the div2, and the div3. So the flex container is the parent of all the items inside it. We can also have a flex inside a flex, but for us to now start using Flexbox, all we have to do is just say display flex. So instead of just say display flex. So if you like refresh this, you instantly see that this change from the way it is in the document flow to like a row format. So you have 1, 2, 3. So you either have it in a column or in a row. So that is mostly the way Flex is. So now we have some properties that are associated with the Flex container. And we also have some properties that are associated with the Flex items. So we're going to discuss the one for Flex container before we now discuss the one for the Flex item. So for Flex container, we have what we call the flex direction. So what does a flex direction mean? It simply just means the direction that we want the item in the flex container, how we want it to be aligned, the way we want it to display, either in a row format or in a column format. So we can have this as flex direction. The default is row. So when I um when I go back here and then I refresh this, you see nothing change because the default is row. But when I change it to column, then it's going to go back to how it was previously. Another thing we can do is, but let me just change this back to row. Another thing about the flex container is that we also have the property called justify content. The justify content property, um, we can, let's say we can use center. So basically what it means is that we're saying that horizontally, you have to align the flex item. So how do we want it to be aligned horizontally? That is what justify content does. So either we want to like make the content align at the center, or maybe we want it to align. There's also other values for it. Maybe we want it to align at the flex start, but we'll try it. So let's see the one for center for justify content. So the justify content now is center. We have 1, 2, and 3. That is the justify content. We also have another values. Like I said, we can also have the let's say flex start. So you're saying like flex start. So this is going to start at the beginning, and then yeah, so this is going to, we're saying that the flex item should start at the beginning. So we also have the flex end. Flex end. So if you refresh this, you see that it's going to start at the end. That's at the right side. So this one is horizontally, like I said, it's horizontal. So another thing we can also do is that we can align, we have another properties for the flex container called align item. These align items too, we can have it at maybe either center, flex start, or flex end. But in this case, what this one align vertically, not horizontally. Justify content align horizontally, but align items, it aligns the those flex items vertically. So if I go here and refresh this, yeah, so nothing is going to change, but let me leave this at center so that we can at least be able to see it. So we say this is center, but the align item is also center. So let's see what we have. Yeah, so but for we to see the effect of the align item, what I'm going to do is that I will give this like height or something, this value. So let me just give it a class. I'm going to give it a class 1, and this one I'm going to give it a class of 2. So these are the items, right? The flex items. And this, I'm going to give it a class 3. So, so I'm going to give it a class 1 to be, let me give it class 2. Let me have class 2. I'm just going to say the width, or let me give it a height of 50 pixel. And I'm going to give it a background color of, let me give it this. So um let me refresh my page. So now you can see now we have this as two, one, two, three. But one thing you notice that the two and the one and the three, let me give it a background color also, so that way we can see the difference clearly. I don't like it. So let's say one background color of, let me give it a blue, then two, and then let me give it a three. So background color. Give it this. All right. So I think we're good now. So let's see. Yeah. So now if you notice that the one and the two are at the center of the one and the three are at the center of this of the two. So what that is where the align items comes in. So the align items, it align it vertically. If I have this center to be like flex start, flex start, right? If I refresh this, now you see that the one and the three are also at the beginning of the element. So that is the flex start. If I have it as flex end, if I refresh this, you see that we have this at the end of it. So that is where the align items shine. So I'm just going to leave it at the center. Yeah, so that is for the align items. Also, we have in the flex container also, we also have another property called gap. So the gap property, we can use it to like separate. It works like margin between two boxes, right? So in gap also, it separates the line, the flex items and give it some margin. So let's say we have 20 pixels as the margin. Then if I refresh the page, and then you can see we have some gap between those items. So that is what gap does. So that's mostly um common values for the flex container. I think for justified content also we can, let's say, try another value. Let's say we have, I think we have something called space between. We've tried center, we've tried flex start, flex end. So there's also called space between and space around. You can just give it all these properties, or look at the CSS reference and look different values that can be assigned to them and try to see what they mean. Yeah, if you see the space between, you take up the entire row, but then there is equal amount of spaces between those items, as you can see. So there's equal amount of spaces between them. Similarly, you can do space around. Space around also gives it space around the item. So let's see. Yeah, so you can see there's space before this item number one. So it gives the equal amount of space between these items, and then give it some spaces also around those specific items. So that's mostly for the flex containers. Then we can also talk about the flex items. Like I said, the flex items are just the child of the flex container. So these are the flex items, this div inside the flex container. So for the flex items, we have some properties also. We have, let's say, we have order. So let's say, for example, these two, I want it to be like the first one. I can now give it an order of um Let me have this. Doesn't matter anyway, but just want to follow it. So we can say let this be the order number one. So for this, we can now say the default value is one. So let's give it something else. I think let's give it something like, no, let's give it three. So it's going to go to position three, I believe. Yeah, so now you have one, then you have three, and then you have two because two has taken the position of three. So you can also do the same thing, give it order of one. And then when you refresh it, let's see. Yep. So they all have default value of one. So for us to change this, we have to give this one another order. Yeah. So let's say this is order. Let me give this one as order two, and then let me just switch it up. So this is becoming three. This is order one, and then this is order two. So for this one, let me give it minus one for order three. If I give it minus one, it's still going to be the same thing because that is the lowest value. So let me give it order five. So this is going to be order, this is going to be, let me give this one two, let me give this one negative one, let me give this one one. So this one is default, and then let me give this one two. So this is the lowest value, and then this is next, and then this is next. So this two is first, and then that's next, and that next. So now you have two as the first value because that's the lowest order, then one because that's the next one, and then you have three. So you can switch it up any way you want it, and however you want it to display on your web page. That is for the order. We also have align self. So the align self property is just like the align items for the flex container. But in this case, it's going to override whatever was specified in the flex container. So let's try it and see. So we have um the align items for this one is center. But now, let's say for example, for the this let me use the one. So let's say I want to align this one differently. Then I can say align self instead of center. I can say flex stats. Oh, I did not. So I can say flex stats. So if I say flex stats, then we have this, and then you can see that, oh, we can't really notice it. What can we do? Let's try flex end if it's going to. So what is actually happening is that this is at the top, but if I refresh it and then I change to flex end, you can see it. This is at the bottom, but this one is still at the align item is center, so it's still at the center. But this is at the bottom because it has align self or flex end. It's going to override whatever is in the flex container. So the flex item itself is going to override what's in the flex container. And if I change, let's say for three now, I change this one to align self of flex stats. So we can, one thing now, let me remove, okay, let me first of all refresh it. So yeah, you can see this one is at the flex end. This is at the flex starts. But let me remove this space around so that we can see it closely. I want it to be close so that we can be able to differentiate what is going on. So if I refresh this, yeah, you can see now this is at the flex end, which is at the bottom, and this is flex start, which is at the top, because they have different align self properties. So that is mostly for align self. Also, we can have the flex grow. So the flex grow just basically specify how much of a space you want a flex item to take from the available space. So let's say we have all these values now, but there are a lot of spaces at the right and both at the left and at the right hand side. So we can specify how much space we want a particular item to take. And the default value for all of them is zero. So the default value is zero. So we can try that using, so let's say we want this item 3, item 2. We can now say we want it to have the flex grow of, let's say, 1. So if I refresh this, and then you see that this one, it has taken over the available space because that's a flex grow of 1, while this one has a flex grow of 0. So they are going, but let's say I added flex grow to the other properties also. Let me see which one to add. Okay, let me use for 3. So let's say I added a flex grow for this one, and then let's say I added 2. So what is going to happen is that this one has flex grow of 1 and this one has flex grow of 2. So the available space will be splitted between both of them, and um, they're going to share it in 1:2. So let's say I have another one here also for this one, and I say flex go of 3. So it's going to share it within those available spaces in 3 places with that same with that ratio, 1 for 2, 1 for the class 2, and then 2 for the class 3, and then 3 for the class 1. But in this case, we only have flex go 1 on class 2 and flex go 2 on class 3. So it's going to share the available space in 1:2 between both of them. So when I refresh this now, and then you see that this one is like almost about twice this one. So it has, shared the spaces between both of them. So that is for flex go. Also, we have flex basis. So the way flex basis work is just like the of the flex items. So let's say you have, let me give this flex item, let me see this one. Okay, let's do it for 1. So let me say the flex item for 1 is like 200 pixel. Flex item, my bad, flex basis rather. So flex basis of, let's say, 200 pixel, then it's just going to define the length of the flex item. When you refresh this, you now see that the size has now occupied 200 pixels of the page. And also, I also mentioned that you can have flex, a flex inside another flex container, a flex container in another flex container. So let's say, for example, this div2, I want to have another flex container inside it. So I can simply just, let me just have this one as another div, and then I can now have another flex after that flex container, I can now have a flex item inside that flex container. So let's say inside the flex item, I have another like div flex item one. Let me just copy it up, and then flex item two. So I can say give it a class of like flex container. I can just say two. So if we go back to the page and refresh it, you see that we have flex item one and flex item two. So far, that is what we have. Let me increase the height so that we are able to, see this clearly. So now we have the flex item one, flex item two. Nothing, that's the way the flow of the page is currently. So let's say I want to turn this to a flex container. So I can now say the class flex container two. I can just say display flex. And then if I refresh this, then you can see now that it has changed to flex item one, flex item two. And you can just apply the same properties that we've done to get that we've tried previously. You can apply the same property. Let's say we want to justify the content to center. So you can do the same thing. You have it. And also you can apply the same properties to the flex items to individual items. So you can apply similar properties that we've also talked about here. So that is for Flexbox. So we're going to use it also, and how to, like I say, it's used to position how you want your pages to look like. For example, you can take, if you want your page to like have three columns, like I showed on CNN, you can just take this one as the first column, this as the second column, this as the third column. You can adjust the size how you want it to look like. You can give them the same, like if I give them the same flex grow, let's say flex grow one, and I also give this one also flex grow one also. Then if I refresh it, you see that they are the same size. So you can see the width are the same thing, flex grow one. So this one can be your first column, second column, and third column. And then you can, if you want to add, more content and more properties, and then you can add it to it. So that is for Flexbox. And from here, we're going to stop today, and then our next class, we're going to talk about the grid system, how to also, have a layout in grid format, which the grid is a two-dimensional format. So we have the row and the column. So we'll talk about grid in our next class. Is there any question so far?
For now, there is no question, but I will go through what we have done so far, and if I have any questions, so next class I will ask.
Okay, yeah, definitely, no problem. So I'm going to post those links in the group chat, and also I'll upload the video to my drive and post the link so that you can download it. I'll probably also have to send it to your me, the one we did yesterday and today. So
Okay. Thank you so much, Latif.
no problem. You're always
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Bro Yomi, I greet you, sir.
Thank you.